What? A Star Wars game that's pretty decent and isn't locked on Origin? The store's so bad it actively makes me want to shoot myself every time I load it and comes with the game's DLC? Damn, it's almost like these developers gave a shit about their game. Star Wars Empire War is an RTS game that came out in 2006 and allows you to play as either the Empire or Rebellion. Shut the fuck up, I'll get to the other one. It's made by LucasArts before EA bought the copyright and proceeded to beat the dead horse that is Star Wars into a pile of dust to ask for your mom's credit card info. So why am I talking about a game that is so old it's only a year younger than I am? Well, it's a pretty fucking good game, mate. Better than more than half of the modern RTS catalog, I would argue. See, when making this, the developers didn't want to cuck their fans, and they just made a stand-up title that allows you to do many unethical things. In the base game, you get two faction choices. I'll start with the Rebellion since they're the good guys or whatever. As the Rebellion, your goal is to defeat the Empire at any means necessary. Whether that is dominating them in space, hunting down the Emperor and drone striking his ass, or conquering, I meant liberating other planets for your gain. To do this, you will take control of many space and land units to cause extreme amounts of damage everywhere you go. In order to dominate space, I introduce you to brave soldiers for the Rebellion that for some reason tend not to come back. Holy shit, oh my god, they do so much, oh my god. Also, get the fuck out of here with that regular ass health bar. You got subsystems, so damaging a ship actually does shit beyond making the health bar go down. Besides bombers, there's also corvettes, fighters, support ships, and capital ships. As for ground units, use the incredibly broken Rebel artillery, which is unironically more cracked than the Death Star. Just know that you can no longer have friends as soon as you do this. In fact, you just get sent straight to hell immediately. A hole will appear like right below you, and you're just gonna fall. Another thing this game does great is characterization through gameplay features. That being what you do makes sense in the context of the faction. See, the Rebels, as terrorists, don't really have the ability to produce research on their own of how to make their own weapons, so they steal it from others, and it's small details like this which just really add to the atmosphere the game gives off. As you move through the galaxy and capture planets, you get buffs from planets and restrictions on how you can attack them. This makes every planet feel different, which is great in a game such as this. One last thing, the cuck raid meta. The Rebels, they're liked a lot. And because of this, they have a lot of civilian support on certain planets. Also, you can raid planets if your units are small enough. And by doing this, you can harness civilians and put them in war. Is it ethical? Anyway, the fun faction. While the Rebels have ethics or whatever, the Empire allows you to blow up planets. I fucking love this game. As the Empire, you do many morally dubious things. While you don't have suicide bombers per se, you get Star Destroyers and a bunch of other cool shit. This all ties back into characterization through gameplay. While the Rebels steal their research, you buy tech levels, which take a long time, but give you everything. These differences are also called asymmetrical gameplay, where two factions aren't exactly equal and one is better at certain things than others. So, how do you beat the busted Rebel Alliance if they have all these broken metas? Well, you excessively use the broken as fuck Star Destroyer and absolutely clap that navy. While the Rebels produce better quality fighters on their own, you make better support ships and corvettes that also shit out fighters. The main thing that's hard for the Empire is holding on to planets because of the cuck raid meta. However, the Death Star allows you to rely entirely on your navy if they're strong enough, as you just kill every planet you come across rather than planning an actual assault. However, starting out as the Empire is very easy to get your shit kicked in as you don't have the ability to produce cheap fighters, so it's easy to get clapped. In both cases, the game ends when the enemy is eradicated, their leader is killed, or the Death Star is destroyed. Besides that, the two are very similar, but there's an expansion pack that's, it's pretty fucking good. This DLC was released half a year later in October of 2006, and for half a year of development, holy shit, this is how you do DLC. I'll start with the small changes and then go from there. The Rebellion gets a new frigate, B-Wing bombers, cool. Also a new hero and some land units. You can pick where buildings go and which units spawn into battle first. Okay, that's all the relatively boring shit out of the way, let's get to that good stuff. While in the base game you could roleplay as Obama, now you can roleplay as the 33rd President of the United States, Harry Truman, and go apeshit on a planet. Also, the Empire is better, See, while the base game mostly appeals to those who just watch the movies, the DLC adds a lot for the Star Wars nerds who know about the extended universe. However, if you don't know or don't care, the additions are still great. The Death Star can hit capital ships now, like in the movie. You can make the Executor, which is a super Star Destroyer, so it's big and takes up half the map. Also, we got Little Boy, Big Boy, Bigger Boy, and a big fucking tank, so instant S tier, stealthy TIE Fighters, busted TIE Fighters, and ground TIE Fighters. What's not to love? Already, we've put every single Paradox DLC to shame, but in 6 months, not only did they do this, they added another faction. And you may think, oh, it's just a knockoff Empire Rebellion. No, in fact, they designed specific mini-missions in Galactic Conquest and a multitude of features just for them to utilize with unique units. In fact, they are by far the most distinct faction in the game. This is the Consortium, and they're fucking great. While the Empire and Rebellion have similar playstyles, the Consortium is a whole different ballpark. For the most part, money is really easy to get for them with limited planets. However, they are extremely vulnerable, and therefore most of your dominance is through subversion by corrupting the rebel and imperial military. Like, that's just such a good idea for an expansion faction, because of course there's corruption. How this is done is you can make units called defilers that infiltrate planets undetected and can spread corruption in multiple different ways. Since the developers were competent, they made the system have layers. There are entry-level corruptions like space piracy that require you to win a land or space battle with a custom objective with 2 to 3 units. Then you use those to get corruption that helps you install a mafia, take part in the galactic slave trade, or just get research. How did they do it? They only had half a year. Sometimes it's a bit buggy, but this is how you do DLC. You add it to the core gameplay with interesting and new features rather than adding a fucking map pack. I think that's all, but there's another thing keeping this game alive in 2021. So, a little bit of background on how games are made. When developers design a title, they use something called a game engine, so they don't have to make several systems from the ground up. However, the devs, being the mad lads that they are, made a custom engine which helps it look decent by today's standards, but also allowed for a robust modding community. So the workshop is filled with a myriad of mods, but these are POG mods, adding so much free content 15 years after the game was made, which is just great. I can't really comment on many of them as I'm a virgin that still mostly plays vanilla. However, the big ones are the Empire War Remake, Thrawn's Revenge, Fall of the Republic, and Awakening of the Rebellion. The remake is probably visually the best, as it looks so fucking good, dude. And it's more performant than other mods if you just give it more RAM, so A-. Thrawn's Revenge is great if you enjoy the feeling of a perpetual panic attack. It looks better than the original, but can get a bit laggy with big ships, and I find it a tad more annoying. So it's a B+ normally, and an A- if you give it more RAM and you have a decent graphics card and CPU. Fall of the Republic is for people that think the prequels were better than the original trilogy. You're wrong, but it's very similar to the base game, just Clone Wars instead of Empire v Rebellion. Since the TV show was POG, I'll give it a B+. I haven't played Awakening of the Rebellion. It looks fun and seems to be true to the base game, so I'll give it a B. So, it's a pretty decent game. If you see it on sale, I recommend picking it up. Subscribe. I want a custom URL. I think that would be cool. Anyway, bye.